Heath paints.
Hey folks, welcome to another 3D printing Patreon preview. I have 134 campaigns to share with you today. Check out Fantastical Sculpts on Patreon or My Mini Factory. They make great marines, orcs, vehicles of all sorts, and a little later I'll show you their new fantasy buildings. Check out my Patreon campaign to get their Iron Legion, genetically engineered super soldiers. Thank you very much to Fantastical Sculpts for supporting the channel. Quick content warning before we start. Some of these campaigns contain pinups and other objectified models. Link in the description to a video discussing why that needs a content warning. First up, Ernest Nemirovsky has a preview of a base decoration piece for their next set. Here are a few work-in-progress models from Clay Demon Miniatures. Kraken's Vault has a mummy-themed statue and bust. Here is a test render of a pinup from Titan Troll Miniatures. Here's the second preview of Inquisitor Jericho Blackwood from Ritual Casting. The newest bust from Fotis Mint is this King of the Dead. Arch Colobas has a bonus Moon Knight model for May. B-Team Minis has Living Bombchu and Deku Scrub models this month. We Play Games has Chibis of Mandarin and Ghost Rider this month. Here's a preview of the Dino set that Pop Minis is working on for May. New models from My Pokeprints include a Rayquaza, Melodic, and a duel between Kyogre and Goudon. 3DXM has new Rocksteady and Bebop models, alternate foot soldiers, and Beast. Here is a preview of the first of Hell Creator's June releases. Wrath is having a turkey, and Chitara is ready for action from Prey Collection Studio. Chibi STL has new Moon Knight, Green Lantern, Launchpad McQuack Chibis, and more. Channel patron C27 Minis and Terrain has 7 new superhumans and more circus-themed scatter terrain for May. Channel patron Nom Nom Figures has a Link model from Wind Waker, as well as a bust of Guts from Berserk while we await the full figure. Mini Basing has some gnarly plants and a wooden wagon. Here is a porch house from Salmistia by Dottie Dungeon and Intorni. The June release from Project Mobius is this set of sci-fi terrain. August McDaniel is also working on some sci-fi themed terrain this month. Here are more images of the tree towers on the border of the ancient city by Savant 3D. Admiral Apocalypse Miniatures is working on some abandoned power plant terrain this month. Here's the latest set of free bases from Mechs and Raw. Sable Badger has a bunch of ruined buildings, as well as brutal tank combat accessories. Here are 2 fantasy houses from channel patron Fantastical Sculpts. The Monster Hunter set from Tiny Furniture Digital this month includes a model of the hunter himself. Here is the scenery half of the Distillery Factory from Print Minis. Masterwork Tools is working on updating their Dungeon Stone walls and floors. Gamescape 3D has cheese making stuff, a cesspit, a horse grain wheel, and more. The Dragon's Rest is continuing work on their cemetery set with Tile C. Here's a small army of camel and elephant riders from Green Skin Miniatures. Wake's Emporium has an army of small-scale superbots and Captain Tech to bring them down. Forest Dragon has mighty reptilian cavalry, as well as dire elf cavalry to fight them. These are white cruisers for the artisanal globe elves from Soulforge Studio. Here's a preview of the June pack from the Lilanian Industrial Complex. Extra Guy is working on Steampunk Mechs with a Scorpion and a Walker. Here is a Nova Cat B and a Warcrow mech for Battletech from Matt Mason. Tesseract Tomb has an interesting set of Wasteland Walkers this month. Warblade Studio has a set of modular Mandalorians for May. Here's a work-in-progress Mandalorian from Hokusa 3D Design. Maddox has a modular set of Insurgents, taking some stormtroopers to task, as well as a couple unhappy Wookiees. Darkfire Designs is back, and they've brought some true Crusaders, including a dropship with fully playable interior. Here's the latest tank for the Concordian Starborn from channel patron Golden Dragon Games. Channel patron The Hive has a surprise bonus pack for May. These burst droids, as well as previews of Lancet droids for June. Channel patron Lost Heresy is working on a retinue for the Inquisitor I showed you last video. The Paladin Eradicators from channel patron Fantastical Sculpts are shiny and complete, and ready to destroy your enemies. These are work-in-progress shots of the bug-filled release coming from Wild Mesh for June. The May release from channel patron The Dork Factory includes Necro Quadwalkers, House Guard, and the new infantry spawn of alien bugs. Rageous Creations is working on a Psychic Stern Nun. Mr. Modulork has a bunch of new options for their Orc Cavalry set. These are the Kepri Enforcers from Surrogate Miniatures. Gearguts' Mech Shop has 5 Orc units and 3 of their Iron Crusaders. Station Forge has a Grimguard Infantry Builder set this month. Here is an Asgardian Artificer and Manus Mortis Gorebringers from Atlan Forge. Here are 2 sets of previews for June from Puppets War Miniatures, as well as a Friday the 13th special. Here are the first previews of Cyberforge's Galactic Mining League set, coming in June. New models from the Maker's Cult include Vestalian Wardens, Dark Techno Infantry, Terrain, and Walkers. Not really sure where to place this Samurai Steampunk Marine from Dust Realm Miniatures. Here is another Wastelander from KLT Studio. Grinning God has a sci-fi release this month with an interesting looking vehicle. Bob Naismith has a bunch of Walker variants and a squad of female soldiers. Here is a bonus Alien Band release from Print, Paint, and Play. .3DP Miniatures has Smokey, a sunbather, a woman on a scooter, and 2 kids at the park. This is Survivor Pack 21 from Vault Z. Knucklebones Miniatures has a Pistol Trooper, Wombwell Irregulars number 3, and several objective markers. Big Mr. Tong has new Bubblehead Spaceman and Jason the Argonaut with Skellies. This is a Dieselpunk Brits Part 2 from channel patron Kyoshu Neko Miniatures. For their Cyberpunk tier, channel patron Papsicels Miniatures has Cyber Fighters and Military Droids. Here are previews of the Steampunk release coming soon from Broken Anvil Monthly. Lost Hobbyist Miniatures has the Patched Puppets Fantasy Football team this month. Reiko Vendetta have begun work on a Nordic-themed fantasy football team. Mythball RN Studio has 2 new Wraiths to add to one of their previous football teams. Moon Circles is the May set from TPK Lab. Here is a Wingless Griffin and a Hedgehog NPC to finish off the May set from Naga Minis. Here's the completed Sacred Swamp set from Goonmaster Games. Epic's End Stuffs has a new Owlbear, Adventurer, and Hatchling. This is Ermengild, an Okamian Elder Maid from Cobra Mode next month. Polygrim has several sets of warriors with swords, bows, halberds, and more. Your Neighbor Knight Minis has 2 new warriors and a Viking witch. Channel patron Claudio Cassini Art has a new set of clerics and a bonus soccer player this month. These are the Duchess Thelma von Thumper and Slobber Chops from Lion Tower Miniatures. Here are 3 more tieflings from Crosslances. Here is a preview of Dragonforge Miniatures' next set, titled The Heldranax Heist. Red Clay Collectibles is working on a Halfling Farm set for next month. Here's a work-in-progress set of Banisher Knights from Galad Miniatures. Here are 2 Musician Elves coming in June from Diwali Games. MZ4250 has some fun patron requests, like a dragon reading a book, as well as new minis from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. The June release from 2 Moronic Miniatures includes a White Dragon, a Dwarf Queen, and a Dwarf Queen riding a White Dragon. Stormcrow has a 2nd edition Basilisk and Kirk, son of Yawgmoth. This is an Abyss Demon from Realm of Paths. The Surreal Factory has 2 forest spirits, an elk and the Lady of the Sacred Grove. Dungeon Dog Miniatures has 4 new oozes this month. Here is a Dig Widget from Maps and Monsters. WTH Studios has new kobolds, a pirate, walruses, and more. Sculptuner is working on a modular troll. Spirit of Resin is working on the Apex Prey for June. Arcanum Workshop has previews up for a Goblin Assassin and a piece of siege equipment. Random Miniatures modeled several children's drawings this month. Here is a Skullgirl and Mowing Raw from Ratman Forge. From Printed Encounter, here is a Yeti and a Deathcap Hydra. Village's Hope Miniatures is working on a set of forest creatures this month. Warp Miniatures is working on Kenku for June. Schlossbauer is working on lizards and lightning elementals this month. The Dwellers in the Underdark is the June set from Dice Heads. Bright Minis has a new giant this month. Here are even more goblins from Monstrous Encounters. Vivictus Miniatures has 5 previews of modular kobolds and one of a breastfeeding mother. Here are 3 evil-looking red wizards from Yasashi Kyojin Studio. Miyake is working on an ugly lady. Last Sword Miniatures is working on werewolves, knights, necromancers, and amazons. The May release from Great Grimoire is called Merchants of the Dark Alley. For their fantasy monsters, channel patron C27 Miniatures has a Kobold Inventor, a Flail Snail, and a Banderhob. These Fallen Watchers are the May release from Clay Cyanide Miniatures. The Printing Goes Ever On has an additional Trap Spider and some bits of terrain for their Lair of the Broodmother set. Here is the completed Wrath of Apophis set from Mini Monster Mayhem, with lots of giant scary monsters. The first June set from Epic Miniatures is Dwarven Mines, with lots of tiles, scatter terrain, and of course, a dwarven ton worth of minis. Blue Wyvern is working on a Fallen Cult, with imps and a god model on display. Empire Miniatures is working on Spear Cavalry this month. Here is a first look at the Highborn Elves Lion Guard model from Hollow Miniatures. Magori Miniatures has modular Direboar riding orcs for May. Maddox Historical has some British Dragoons, French Infantry, and Swedish Line Cavalry this month. These are the Nightborn Elves from my 3D Print Forge. Dragons Lake Miniatures is adding some Forge Wardens to their Dwarven Holds army. Ilhadiel has finished up with their Borks and has moved on to the Knights of the Forest. Labyrinth Models has a unit of Harpies this week. Here are some new Beasts and Birds from Clay Beast Creations. Here are 4 of 5 Plague Champions from Duncan Shadow. Edge Miniatures has added some dinos to their Desert Elves set. Reconquer Designs has a duel between 2 warriors and King Sancho II. Asgard Rising has a bunch of dwarves with firearms. Avatars of War is working on a multi-part Orc Boar Rider this month. The Spectres of Transylvania are the first preview of Highland Miniatures' June release. The May Fantasy set from Gomek is an army of wraiths, including the Silent King. Here is a teaser of Highest Peaks and Lowest Caverns, the June set from Lord of the Print. And finally, here's a look at the Midnight Goblins that Titan Forge Miniatures is working on for June. That's all for now. Huge thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. Your support is what makes all this possible. Check back soon for another Print and Paint Kickstarter countdown. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos, and thanks for watching.